All right, guys, just getting set up here, just about ready to start. If there are any issues with the audio or video quality, please say something in the chat. Make me aware of it. I'll do what I can to address it. Put that in the chat real quick. All right. I think we are good to go. Now, I did just put out a new video last night where I was using my new microphone for the first time actually recording, and I had it on a pedestal sitting on my bench, and every time I moved anything or touched the bench or did any typing, it came right through super clear. That was not great. So today I have it on a boom arm using a bracket that I printed. So this should be a lot better in that regard. Now, today, what we're talking about is my new Thinkpad here, which I picked up on eBay. It's been like 2 weeks now since I got it, and I've not done much with it yet. We're going to install it and start setting up the tools that we need for doing our YouTube work and our Thingino firmware development and testing and all of the firmware analysis and hacking that we do. So before we get started, let's just go over what we've got here real quick. So this is a Thinkpad. What's the model on here? Oh, it doesn't say. On the bottom here, we've got an inventory tag and serial number and all that fun stuff. But it doesn't actually tell us the model. Let's check out the eBay listing real quick. I just had that up to steal the photo that I'm using. Thinkpad L14 Gen 3 14-inch Core i5 1245U processor with 16 gigabytes of RAM and 256 gigabytes of SSD. So pretty nice little machine, and I picked it up for the low price of $225. So this has a much newer hardware platform than what I'm using on my existing broadcast and hacking box, and should help out a lot when it comes to 1080p streaming, especially when we're doing live recording of the terminal and also cameras all at the same time. So it should be a nice solid upgrade. Now I do have a HDMI capture device here. We're going to attempt to use that, and I'm applying power using a Dell docking station that I picked up out of an electronics recycler a few days ago. And it's USB-C, and some of the built-in functions work. The charge port definitely works, but it also has video out, which does not work. It does have USB and audio, and those are very helpful. So I've gone ahead and I've downloaded the ISO for the Arch installer, and I've burned it to this SD or this USB stick, and we're going to pop it in and see if we can convince this thing to install. Now, I don't usually use Arch. I've been using Debian-based Linux distros for the last 20 years. So it's going to be a bit of a learning curve getting all of the package installation and configuration done, but I'm sure we'll get right through it. Let's crack her open and let's switch over to our video capture. We're going to power up. It should come up here in a second. And I'm actually going to have to try to read from the capture side. We'll see if we can do that. Hopefully that got us in where we needed to go. Oh, and turn that one off on accident. I wanted to turn this one off. All right, this thing is trying real hard to run Windows updates on the pre-installed Windows OS, which doesn't help us, but I was not successful in interrupting the boot. Let's go ahead and use the hard reset with the power button, which is usually about 10 seconds. There we go, it's off. Now I'll turn it back on. This is supposed to be press enter to interrupt the normal boot process, but I think there is some delay from what we're seeing. There we go, that's what we wanted. Let's see, F12 for boot device. See if we got it. Boot menu, SanDisk Ultra is what we want. All right, now I can't see this great on this thing. Let me resize my window here. Probably full screen. All right, there we go. And our first option is Arch Linux install medium. That's what we want. With speech. I don't know that I need speech. So we go up to the top one. Shouldn't take too long to boot up the installer. All right, hey Sander, how's it going? Thanks for joining. We're booting the kernel, and looks like it's loading the root file system from the USB stick into memory. I guess this is not the world's fastest USB stick. Hey O0, 0x0, good to see you. Thanks for joining. Now on today's stream, we're going to do kind of a series of these because initially I want to get it installed and set up into a usable format, but separately after we've done that, I'm going to come back through and we're going to try a different desktop environment. So just for getting things going and familiarity's sake, we're going to go with Plasma, KDE Plasma today, but in a future video, we're going to do a deep dive into Hyperland. That one should be a lot of fun. That one's extremely customizable, and I know a lot of folks are customizing it using shell scripts and such. I, of course, tend to write my software in Go, so we'll be doing some of that. Yeah, this stream is kind of one of my first, I'm going to call them the FAFO streams, which is short for Screw Around and Find Out. And I've got a bunch of stuff in here to screw around with and find out. All right, now this is actually mirroring both sides. The brightness isn't working. It's very dark on the screen right now, but I can see it pretty well over here. All right, now they want me to go through using the installation guide. So we will pull that up. Normally you would expect the installer to start right up, but as I mentioned, this is my first time using Arch Linux. Alright, default key map is US, so we're good there. We know that we're 64-bit. Alright, so they're suggesting we set up our Wi-Fi, which seems optional. And we're going to manually partition. Alright, we're going to start with that. We should be able to see our block devices. There we have them. This currently has Windows installed on it. We're going to blow that away. And it's NVMe 0U1. Oh, did I type it wrong? NVMe C0. Nope. Sorry, it's kind of hard to read the text here on this darkened screen. Alright, here's all of our existing partitions. Now this is not doing a guided partition, which would make it really easy to have the EFI partition for suspend. But it looks like they do have some recommendations here. We'll go ahead and go with those. So we're going to, whoops, we don't want that, but we'll just go through it. We want a new GPT partition table. M is for help. And to create a new GPT is G. And we want a new start there. They recommend 1 gig for the EFIs, so we'll go ahead and do that. And we need to set the type, and I do not know offhand. Looks like type 1 is EFI system. Oh, so go ahead and do that. Then they recommend a swap partition. We'll give it 4 gigs for swap. And guess who's done this a few times? Wait, that's not right. Did they change the numbers? They did. All right, 19. And I'll do the rest of it as the root file system. Go ahead and write. And I'm assuming, yeah, our next step is we're going to format our file systems. Alan, I can't tell you why some of these things are the way they are. Alright, we're going to make FS ext4. It's going to be dev NVMe 0 N1 P3 is our root file system. Now, am I supposed to put a file system on EFI? I'm assuming. Yeah. They suggest FAT32 for that one. Alright, and we need it specifically fat size 32, which is capital F. P1. And finally, we're going to make swap. Which is P2. Go ahead and turn that on. they want us to mount to /MNT. And I'm assuming we should make our boot. Yes, we should. Did I not make it? I thought I did. What am I missing here? Okay, I typoed. That never happens, huh? Yeah, the new Debian, that's what I'm running on my current Thinkpad, which is right here. But I've got in my head that I'm going to move away from the Debian operating systems for a variety of reasons. Definitely one of those reasons is kind of to do with its age, where, of course, being around for a long time has a lot of positives, but also there's some cruft and there's some leftovers that maybe don't make as much sense in 2025 as they did in 2005. I've also found that the Debian package format is more difficult than it needs to be, and the ability to get a patch in is surprisingly hard. I did a which package was it? I did it the other day. The Minicom terminal emulator software is officially maintained by the Debian project, and I had a patch I wanted to submit to it, and they use some Git repository, one of the name brand ones. I forget which one it was, but it was broken. I needed to create an account in order to submit my patch, and their account creation was throwing errors. Like, I get it, not everybody likes GitHub, and that doesn't mean you have to use something necessarily inferior. Like, I use Gitia myself, and it has a ton of awesome features. It rivals GitHub in most ways. All right, let's see what our next step is. Oh, they really want us to set up network, which I would love to do without revealing my Wi-Fi password. And actually, I've got a plan for that, I think. One moment, please. I do have a bonus OpenWRT device that I use specifically for hardware hacking, and I pity the fool who connects to it because it does all kinds of stuff you would prefer it didn't. Hey Pluto, how's it going? Yeah, I've been using Debian for decades on workstations and servers, and I think it's time to try something else. So hopefully you will find this relatively entertaining and relatively informative. Now this OpenWRT device, when I bought a 2-pack because there was a crazy sale, I'm not sure if I plugged in the right one, but we'll find out in a second here. I might need to actually swap it. I think I got the wrong one. All right, one moment, please. Yeah, check this dude out. This is who makes this? It's a Linksys MX4200, and it's supposed to be a mesh router, but it's just a router. I mean, it's got 3 LAN ports and a WAN port and a USB, and it's pretty high end. It's got 3 radios. It makes an awesome repeater if that's what you're interested in doing, but it's perfectly supported by OpenWRT. So I bought 2 of them. I think the pair cost me like $40. Alan, that's probably a fine password. Now I do need to. I forgot what password I put on this thing because I'm awesome. All right. I remember what password I put on it now. It was entirely for IoT device hacking. And if you check out my GitHub profile, I have a repository called GoCertMITM that kind of automates SSL hacking, and you can get a surprising amount of information that you're not expected to be able to using it. But it takes a little bit of setup and configuration to pull off. If you've ever used CertMITM, it's largely inspired by that, except mine works. All right, back to the installation guide. We're going to set up our Wi-Fi in a second here. See what tools they gave us. All right, for Wi-Fi, we use IWCTL. And I haven't used that in a while. Let's see. Simple configuration is what we want, but that's not actually what we get. Oh no, and we don't get scroll back. All right. Oh, that doesn't work. That was fun. Try -H. There we go. That gets me what I need. And so we can do adapter list, known networks, ad hoc, access point. We would like to add a network, please. Devices, no networks. Interestingly, no networks doesn't have an add. All right, what the heck? We're not doing ad hoc. We're not creating an access point. We're not using WPS. I would like to just connect, please. Oh, here we go. Station interface connect with a network name. And it looks like we can give it a password. list here. Okay. Station PHY 0. Connect. Alright, well, it doesn't like it with that form. So we'll just use WLAN 0, which is what I would expected. Invalid network name. Well, how's that? Alright, who uses IWCTL in here? Because this should be quite simple. Alright, WLAN 0 power on. I'm sure it's powered on. We'll do that. Oh. Station WLAN 0. Did I spell it wrong? Nope. Alright, so we see our WLAN 0 is there. Device list, station. WLAN 0 connect your SSID. Does it not like my minus password? Nope, that's not it. You want to see a lot of Wi-Fi network names? It's gonna be crazy. Oh. Nope. I thought that was gonna list all of our networks, but it did not. All right, excuse us while we fumble with getting Wi-Fi set up. The model of the Thinkpad is Thinkpad L14 Gen 3. It's 14-inch Core i5 1245U, 16 gigs of RAM, 256 gig SSD. Get networks. All right, well, there we've got a bunch. Aha. That's not the password. All that work, and it hides the stinking thing anyway. All right, so we're going to just connect to a regular one then. All right. Great, we are online. By the way, we are on Starlink, and we are somewhere in northern Michigan in the middle of a field. Let me just paste you the specs here. Oh. All right, it added a lot of extra crap to that. Here we go. All right, now that we're online, let's go back to the install guide. All right, and we've done the partitioning already. We've made our file systems. We've mounted the system. And we use Packstrap. And we're just following along here. All right, and hopefully this doesn't cause any bandwidth issues for you guys. Like, good thing I've got like a 4 gigabyte install image written to this USB stick, and here we are installing from the internet. Yeah, Alan, I actually started with Slackware back in the day as well. And when I moved to something that had live online updates, that was like a game changer. Slackware was awfully nice because you could install it from 75 or 80 floppy disks, so that was super fun. But updates were a real pain in the butt. You were pretty much doing a complete reinstall. So once I got to the Debian based operating systems, that really simplified that whole thing. But I did spend several years running Gen 2 and actually was part of the Gen 2 team for a period of that as well, which was fun. All right, we've got one package complete and 137 to go. Really, why did I download this whole 4 gigabyte USB stick image? Seems like I could have gotten away with just a couple megabytes to get me this far. Now, how are we doing on the video? Is it still looking okay? I'm just concerned that downloading all these packages while we're streaming might cause some bandwidth contention. All right, we have 2 packages done. I did have our Starlink dish properly aimed, but then we had a windy day and things moved around a little bit, so it's probably not quite aimed. Thanks, Sander. I don't know if you guys saw, but last night I did the install video on this guy And this is, I don't know, this is a camera that's mid-tier. It's not bad, but it's not cheap, and it should be cheap. This should be like a $15 camera, but right now they're closer to 30. It was 20 when I bought mine. I've got another one over here that'll be coming up soon. This Lidocam. This one claims 4 megapixel outdoor with lamps. Just eyeball it right quick while we're doing the install here. This is probably, well, it's potentially going to replace my rear view camera, which right now is a Wansview W7. But I also have the Deco and the Aosu, which I'm working on as well, that are also quite good for that purpose. This is going to be the last video, hopefully the last video that I'll be recording and streaming using this old Thinkpad that we're streaming from now. The one we're installing will eventually replace it. Why not a higher res cam? Well, 4 megapixel is about as high as you get, and still being in the commodity, aka cheap wireless IP cam space. So it'll still give you a 2560 by 1440 resolution. So it's not like you're getting low res. That actually, I think, matches the resolution on the tablet that I use to display while we're driving. But you start looking like, if you start looking for like a 4K camera, which is 8 megapixel, like you're getting up to the $100 mark real quick. What about the Q3R? One second, let me remind myself which one that is, because I think I've got one. Yeah, the Q3R is a 1 megapixel camera, so that's 720p. I would not want to use that for my rear view. And actually, if you're running their factory software, there's software upscaling that 720p to appear to be 1296p, but it's bull. Most of those Joannes use the same system board with the same everything, so it's the same 1 megapixel sensor on there, even though some have motors and some don't. All right, let me go to our next step here. So did the pack strap. The next one, generate our FS tab, and they've got a command for that. Gen FS tab -u/mnt. Pipe it into mount Etsy FS tab. All right, so we've got that. And then we have to set our, oh, they want us to go ahead and do a CH route. All right. Now we set our time zone. Oh, what are we doing wrong here? Oh, region. And this is probably, oh, here we go. We can do Eastern. Time zone's done. And then sync our hardware clock. Sys2HC. All right, now the laptop thinks it knows where we're at. locale, oops, gen, quick and easy. Set our host name. Uh-oh. Well, interestingly, it stopped responding once we started that. Do we have another terminal? We do. Now, I don't tend to use the CH password often, but I thought it took standard in. I don't think that works. No, it's doing something weird with the terminal, I believe. All right, that helped. All right, and now I'm supposed to install a bootloader, and they don't give you any help on that. I think Pacman minus S. Grub 2? Nope. Nope, I spelled it wrong. There we go. Grub. There's no grub update. Oh, here we go. All right, definitely missing something there. All right, let's look at some documentation here. All right, we want to use grub. UEFI systems. We need EFI boot manager. Did that also load? It did not. EFI boot MGR. have that mounted? Yes, we do. This is mentioning a tool that we don't have. Maybe a couple of typos in here. Alright, so that seemed to have gone. One nice thing about using the Debian stuff is all of this bootloader setup and such is all automated for you. Let me real quick check our chat here. The Deco is, so I've got the Deco and the Aosu, which are exactly the same device with a different brand name sticker on it. And I've got one of them is the T31, the other one's the T23. The T31 is totally good to go. The T23 I think will be easy to finish getting it fully supported. But so far they're really nice devices overall. Definitely a step up from the WANS view that I'm using currently. Alright, now we're skipping all the secure boot stuff. It's a lot easier for the stuff I do if you don't use secure boot. And there's nothing interesting happening on this laptop. Alright, we need to grub make config. Alright. Alright, that's all fine. That's what we wanted. Now in theory the bootloader is done. It's entirely possible that I've missed a step and this is going to not boot. But let's go back to the install guide and see what it has to say. I could just install OS Prober. It'll get rid of that warning message. Yeah. Well, it still did it. Alright, whatever. We are not worried at all about other systems. You don't need to customize grub. Oh, I'm in the wrong page. Back up. Okay, we've got the bootloader. We've got a root password. And according to it, we should be ready to reboot. Now, rebooting from inside the CH root sounds like a mistake. So we'll exit that first. And then we'll reboot. All right, cross your fingers, guys. Issue the command. Popped out the USB stick. Somebody somewhere probably has a super quick, just walk through step-by-step guide on doing this kind of all at once. But this was definitely a lot closer to installing Gen 2 than to installing Debian. All right, here we are, the login prompt. And my root password works. All right, we're going to see if we can just install KDE just that easily. Oh, there's a bunch of crap here. We have to choose some stuff here. I thought there was just going to be a Plasma desktop overall package. And I apologize if I'm moving a little slow here, but I'm having to look at pretty small print. I do not see Plasma KDE. Oh, there we go. Plasma desktop is 40. All right. And we'll go with Pipewire. And I like FFmpeg. And here we go. Oh. All right, I guess I need to set up Wi-Fi again. That's long gone. Oh. All right, so evidently I should have installed the wireless tools, and since I didn't, I'm screwed. All right, I'm going to have to get a physical cable. Yeah, I chose Arch, by the way. And so far, maybe I'm suffering a small amount. But let me find a Ethernet cord, which I'm sure I have one. I just need one that's not super short. It's a little more digging than I intended on doing. All right, I've got one, but it's a stretch. It's definitely not going to reach this where it's sitting. All right, we're going to try. What did I unplug? All right, everything's still working so far. I've unplugged the power. Oh boy. I hope you guys are enjoying this. cord plugged in. Oh, I don't even have. All right. All right, we don't have a DHCP client either. And our Ethernet device is ENP0. Oh, I don't have. All right. Dang it, I'm old school. I use ifconfig. They're going to make me learn something. How do I specify my device? Well, how do you specify your device? I know this one. That probably doesn't help us. Yeah, IPA. That shows the device, but I need to specify which one I want to add an IP address to. I'll just check with Google right quick. Good thing I got 10 computing devices. IP adder add. And then the device is ENP0S31F6. Looks like I can give it a /24 here. Oh. Oh. Well, I agree ENP0S31F6 is garbage. But it should still work. Oh, I have to put in the word dev. Alright. Do I have the route command? I don't. Alright, let's look that one up. Default gateway, please. I need to actually bring the device up? Or what's going on here? Yeah, it's down. Alright, so how do we bring the interface up? There. ENP0 S31 F6 up. Alright, why did that work a second ago? Try and add our default route again. Alright. Alright, we have internet access. Give me DH client. I think it's under IWD, right? Alright, now I've got those tools again. Alright, next up we're going to disconnect from wired Ethernet. We're going to swing back over here. I don't even have my camera on so you guys can see me, I think. Just take my word for it, that was extremely uncomfortable. Oh, there. Yeah, I'm still there. I just couldn't see it on my own preview page over here. All right. Nope. All right, did I already forget the command for that? Oops. All right. Oh, I bet it's still. I bet I need to bring down the wired Ethernet, huh? Mm. All right, looks like we're not actually connected. All right, so it's maybe looking for a different DHCP client. Mm. We'll just install another one. All right, let's scroll way back up and let's get back to installing KDE. There you go. All right, we're going for Plasma Desktop, which is 40, Pipewire, FFmpeg, continue. Here we go. All right, we got it, you guys. We're starting with KDE just for, in theory, being straightforward and familiar, but in the future, we'll be using something else. Now, I will say, if I were to recommend this process to somebody that I knew that was less technically savvy or less patient, I think they would have given up and grabbed a Mint ISO. Oh, they've got a Plasma Meta package that I'm supposed to have installed. We'll do that. And it looks like they have a separate meta package for the KDE applications. We'll go ahead and grab that as well. Since I'm a absolute power user, I use color paint. So I gotta have, whoop. Did I get it wrong? Oh, it's KDE applications. Oh man. Really? You're gonna make me install them one by one? I thought this was meta. It is. That's better. Ooh. Dang it. I don't like Python. Do I really need Tesseract? Come on. English. 30. Back when I was on the Gen 2 team, I had some real complaints about some KDE stuff. One of the packages, I think it was KDE Games, which has like Solitaire and Minesweeper and crap like that, had a dependency on the C++ library named Boost. And Boost is a freaking pig. That thing would take longer than basically the entire KDE application suite to build. And it was used for something stupid like the help file. Yeah, filtering out casuals, I don't feel is a great goal these days. Like, you do get a point where it's going to reduce your support load if you make it harder to even get started. But I'm more of a fan of bringing technology, especially when it relates to privacy and security, down to the realm of normal folks. Fortunately, there's a lot of easy to set up, user friendly options, so it's not like Arch is the only way to get involved in Linux. And really, this might end up just being something that I try out for a couple of weeks and jump over to something else. Got to install Nano. Alright, that's all good. Now, did this install a display server? Let's have a look. Starting Plasma on Wayland using a display manager. Alright, we do have SDDM. Alright, we are booting KDE Plasma for the first time in theory, although so far I see nothing. Did I miss where I was supposed to choose a session? Nope, it's set to Plasma Wayland. We'll just do it again because that's the definition of sanity, doing the same thing over and over. Alright, so that evidently is just crashing right away. Let's go ahead and kill that. Now let's see if there's anything in here we can use. I don't care about UTF-8. There's no error messages on the screen, and we can't scroll up because we've changed our terminals. And great. Fortunately, there's lots of useful command line options. Yep, I'm doing it. Now, are we going to get something or immediately crash again? Looks like we're going to immediately crash again. Well, I mean, we've got a mouse pointer. You guys, I don't even think you can see it there. But I can see it. Oh. so there's no kernel running at :0. Oh, still nothing. Let's just kill that. Oh. What is it to search? Is it -Q? Nope. Nope. Nope, that one's an actual package name. Alright, let's go back to our guide here. Yeah, KD certified experience for sure. Alright, XFCE. Alright, looks like we just installed XFCE. Nope. Nope. There we go. Do they have a meta package? Am I really going to have to install all of these things? I feel like they should always have meta packages. That should pull in a bunch of these things. Hang on, little interruption to our stream here. Move some things out the way.
Sorry.
Good.
Hi, Tote.
Alright, we got XFCE4. Get some of these things. Sorry, I moved the microphone way away. Alright, so we've got that now. Fire up SDDM again. XFCE Wayland. See if we get a desktop. It's kind of looking like no. Once again, we've got a mouse pointer, which I don't think you guys can see. I don't see any errors in here. But it's immediately closing the session as soon as it starts. I guess that's just a Pam session, so that's fine. Here's totally what you want to do. Run KDE as root. Interestingly, my battery's at 32%. All right, so the display manager did not help. And I bet none of this stuff is even going to yell at me for being root. All right, now I can turn the brightness up on my screen so I don't have to look at the version you see. Oh, you know what? This is... All right, we're in dual monitor mode, so you're not even seeing what I'm doing over here. Let's see. I can fix that. All right, this should... There we go. All right, now you're seeing what I'm seeing. One second, I got booped over here. All right, back to the Arch install guide. I'd really like to have this thing working properly. So we're going to go back to the KDE guide. See if we missed anything. All right, there's also, let's check a few things. Pretty sure we've got that, but it says we don't. Alright, now I would like SDDM to start up on boot. Which it currently does not. And so we enable the service there. I don't think we need to do any particular customizations beyond that. Let's go ahead and reboot. Let's see if it actually comes up with our display manager and see if adding that last package is enough for us to log in as our non-root user. Dear Arch, you are a pain in the butt. Like, for real, this is not easier than Gen 2 was back in its day. All right, back in our login, put in a password, see if we get a KDE. Looks like no. All right, can log in, so that's nice. I don't think I've installed sudo yet, so I'm not going to be able to use it. There's no config for SDDM in Etsy, at least, which is not what I would have expected. We'll check the documentation. Okay. So to make config changes, you're supposed to make this directory, and you're supposed to review the default config, which is user lib stdm conf.d default.conf. So not too worried about these. Where do you get your list of available sessions? Oh, well, that's an executable. So this keyboard layout's just a little bit different. And I'm hitting the wrong key here and there. All right. User share Wayland sessions. User ban start Plasma Wayland. All right. That definitely does exist. It definitely doesn't work. There. I forget which one I actually had working. Oh, look at that. Here comes KDE. Let me mirror the displays again. There we go. Alright, so that wasn't a pain in the ass at all. Now, what do we have? We don't have git. We don't have sudo. Dang it. But I can su. Just install some stuff. Alright, let's see if we can configure the network from here. I bet I need to install Network Manager for that. I don't know if this thing works with IWD. No, none of these are network. Nope. We do not have the software it would like for network. Probably wants Network Manager. Falcon. I've been using Falcon a little bit. It's not amazing. Like, that's not intuitive. What was I going to look up? Now I've forgotten. Of course, that doesn't work. Wait. Wait just a second here. How did I install network managing if I don't have network? All right. See if we can scroll up enough to get to our. Thought that might get us there, but it doesn't. Station, WLAN 0, connect. Well, I expected that to prompt me for that password, and it did not. Nope. Well, it still doesn't like whatever DHCP client we have. But now we're online. Oh, I thought that's where it was, but I'm wrong. Come back over here and try again. have an applet. It's not its own package. Network Manager applet. All right, there we've got a something. All right, we're going to do a little rebooty again. The closer we get to this thing doing the right thing at boot, the better. Definitely not ideal to boot up and then have to manually configure a bunch of stuff. All right, back to our login screen. All right, now we are connected. That wasn't a pain in the butt at all. All right, Arch, Pac-Man, search. Usage, installing. I don't need installing, I need finding. Don't need virtual packages. Removing, don't need any of that. Querying package databases. Alright, so it looks like minus s lowercase s. Alright, that does allow us to search for packages, so that's nice. Alright. I wonder if they have a meta package for just make this into a usable Linux distro instead of having to install everything manually. I bet OBS is in the user repository and not in, yeah, it's not in the main repositories. They're going to make me look that up. All right, looks like we still use Pac-Man. Oh, geez. Pull it out of Git. Is that really the best option you have? I thought there was another front end that you could use that would just pull things directly. Yeah, yay. That's what I was looking at. All right. Pac-Man minus S, yay. Nope. Target not found. Is yay already installed? No. All right, here's a suitable tutorial for beginners. We still need to do all this crap. All right. All right. We'll do it this way. All right. So we need to have Go installed. Hopefully this is a relatively recent version. Not too bad. This is not a brand new laptop. I bought this one off eBay for an absurdly low amount of money. And yeah, that's a good idea, putting together a video of streamlining this whole process, because you figure a Ubuntu install takes you 5 minutes and you log right in and you get all your advanced features and everything out of the box. And this has been a pain in the butt. Oh. All right. We'll get there eventually, though. The Go build process, which I'm quite familiar with. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. I've actually completely written off Ubuntu. All right. I have to set up a sudoers. Oh. Do. We'll go ahead and do that. That's probably enough. Oh. I hope this thing doesn't need actual tabs. It's been a while since I've had to manually edit the sudoers file. Like, they just generally get it right. So I could put myself in the sudoers group and then re-log in, which is a pain in the butt. I'm in the group now. All right. Probably quicker to just reboot than to go through and manually restart the session. Kubuntu is relatively, like, it's out of the box, not the worst experience. The complaints I have with Ubuntu are around like their push for snap packages, which, like, that's a weird one, I guess, for me to pick out because I use containers for a lot of stuff, and I absolutely despise snap packages, which are largely doing the same thing. One of the big differences, though, is if you're doing an actual container like a Docker or Podman container, they tend to be extremely performant. Like, they will rival native speed. It still doesn't like me. Why don't you like me? Yeah, Snap. I just feel like Ubuntu has pushed a bunch of different initiatives out, and almost all of them have failed because they just weren't that good, you know? What group? Oh, it's a sudo group, not the sudoers group. My bad. Like, I've been doing this for a while, and maybe a little bit of it's like I resist change, but I'm definitely one of those if it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of guys. And some of this stuff just isn't broke. Don't even get me started on the whole system D and KD bus and regular D bus and anything Leonard Pottering. I've used way too many Unix systems to be in favor of a system having something completely different from all the rest. All right, I'm still not in this file. What the heck? I'm definitely in the sudo group. I'm not. I reused an ID. All right. All right. These were not in order. We'll just reboot again. Yeah, System D, like, that's a stream on its own. I spent more than enough time working with sysv and init alternatives to tell you they pretty much all suck. It's hard to beat just regular sysv and init and a service manager monitor like supervisor or something like that to make sure if something shuts down and you don't want it to shut down, that it comes back up. But when you get into things like uh, socket activation, like I'm not a fan of socket activation. I'm still not working. Nope. All right, uncomment to allow members of group sudo to execute any command. Which I'm definitely in that group now, right? I'm not. All right. We're going to get there. They really should have created a group for me instead of making me find one that is not currently in use. Where do we start at? So we jump up at somewhere around 100. I'll just check and make sure there's not already a 666. And this will do it for sure. For sure this time, for sure. I don't know, a lot of those things I feel like were solutions searching for a problem. And I don't feel like that's the right way to go. Changing things just for the sake of change. And there are maybe some advantages you could point out to some of the aspects of systemd, but they weren't things that were unique to systemd to solve. Like it's not in some special place in the stack where nothing else could implement whatever you might come up with anyway. Boom, sudo works. That took way too long. Alright, so we've got our SSH stuff. We've got Go. We've set up a couple profile things. If you code in Go, one thing it does that's kind of annoying is they have this concept of a module proxy, where a module is a installable library, usually comes from a Git repository, and they have a they kind of intercept those calls and they'll cross-reference against their own package list, and you can run into issues where you're not getting the latest version of a package. You can run into issues where a package that you didn't necessarily want published publicly, despite not having a password in front of it, it can appear in their documentation. So I disable all that myself. And these 3 environment variables are what you need to do in order to achieve those goals. All right, so now we've got Go. What is the current version? I've got all that kind of auto updated. So I wonder how far back we are. 1.24.5. So we are up to date. That's great. Close the wrong window. Oh, I still didn't get Yay installed. Do I still have... Yeah, bake package. There we go. Alright, no OBS. How am I expected to install OBS? OBS Studio. So why didn't it find that when I put in OBS, when I was doing all that with KDE packages? Alright, so that should be good. Let's see if we can get some other packages. I need MPV. I need FFmpeg. I need KDN Live. Oh, reinstalling. Okay. Let's have a look out the back, see if this works. All right. Totally works. We got GCC. We got make. We've got git. There's definitely going to be some additional things that I haven't installed. How do I list our encoders in FFmpeg? I thought that was it. I don't have man pages. Oh. Oh, just minus encoders. Wondering if this thing has the Intel encoder here. Dang it, there's so many of them. Like, it's super great that they have all of these encoders, but what's this one called? QSV. So they've got HEVC and H264. Okay, great. Can we get this one? Oops. All right. If you guys don't use this particular piece of software, it's handy. All right, let's grab this URL. Blah, blah, blah. You didn't hear this from me. All right, now how do we set the encoder? I need to look into that. show encoders. I want to choose an encoder, please. All right, I guess this just goes under the codec. Just want to see if this works. Did I get it wrong? Yep, wrong order. H264 underscore QSV. Well, it didn't like something about that. But what didn't it like? We did not change any of these other things. Let's not copy. We'll just try this. All right, did not work. Also did not work. Unknown error, unknown error. It's probably libraries I need to install. Oh. I wonder if we're even running the accelerated driver. Search for DRI. That's going to be ridiculous. All right, we're going to grep DRI. Nope. Probably will have to restart after doing this. And actually, I'm going to check. Let's see if there's a guide on that. Look, here's a hardware video acceleration thing. Should have gone straight to that. All right, Intel VA API. Okay. Up to Coffee Lake. Oh, this is starting from and going forward. Okay. Intel Media Driver. Alright, that is almost certainly going to require a reboot, but we also have VPL. libvpl and VPL GPU RT. Excuse me. These are super intuitive package names that totally don't need to be in meta packages. we're going to reboot. Make sure we come up on the correct Intel driver, and we'll see if we get our quick sync. Now there is a wiki page on FFmpeg. Let's see if we get anything about quick sync on that page. Looks like they're suggesting to install the ones we've already installed. All right, well, there we go. That's better. 464 frames per second on a H.264. That works. And HEVC. And 260 something on H.265. All right, that looks good. I mean, it doesn't look good on the view you got of it because you're going through a USB HDMI adapter, but it looked good on the actual screen. So that helps us for sure. All right, do we have hex edit? No. Do we have flash ROM? I'm sure we don't have flash ROM. Now, I haven't updated the flash ROM that I use in a while, but somebody told me that they changed their options for choosing your programmer to like Linux SPI. Like, here's what I've been using. Now they have this. But it looks like they've got both, so that's interesting. But obviously that's something that I need to work. Alright, and there's gonna be maybe some stuff that I need to figure out. See if AUR has Jefferson. It does. I'll take the wait. Avoid running yay as root. So is this installing local user packages? And I'll take it if so. We want package. Is it just me, or is the Git version older than the non-Git version? Alright, do we need to clean build any of them? Alright. Diffs to show. I don't need any diffs. That seemed like a few extra questions than were necessary. Sure. Hooray, it failed. Alright, so first thing, I used the lowercase s. Let's tell it all. I don't need to see any diffs. I would just like to build, please. There we go. Well, that's going. Let's see how we get along with OBS here. We're gonna not set that part up yet because I gotta get my key. Video. We'd like to output at full resolution, please. Get some other stuff in here. Output. What MP4. We don't want spaces and file names. This does not give us a hardware encoding option. I'll have to look into that. Don't have any sources. That's fine. What was I going to look at? Oh yeah, I want to see, can we capture the screen? Pipewire. Alright, well that seems to do nothing. I'll have to look into that. Let that continue installing. Arch OBS screen. See if there are additional packages that we need. Hardware acceleration. Okay, it says go over here if it's not detected, which it wasn't. And this is just back to the regular hardware acceleration wiki page. It's still asking to proceed. Just proceed. Thought there was a libva utility. Let's see. Verifying VA, please. VA info, which is in libva utils. We do have the VA driver. What else do we need? OBS Linux hardware acceleration Intel. Okay, so we don't have NV encode, obviously. And due to low quality iterations, blah, 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 make sure you have the latest drivers. So we definitely have the latest drivers. All right, we're going to QSV. See what these guys have to say. VA info, OBS. VAA API is available only on the advanced output mode. All right. Settings. Advanced. It's not in here. Video. Output. Okay, that's what we have to toggle. Video encoder. Quick sync. H.264. So that should help out a lot. All right, now why don't we have screen capture? No screen capture. Blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. We are not on a WL Root based Wayland compositor. But we'll drop this into all right, reboot time again. Make sure that all comes up clean. Yeah, the question is if I did make an optimized install guide, like first off, would anybody actually use it? And second off, after people saw what a pain in the rear end it was, would they just abort and go install something else? A lot of people out there running Mint. I generally don't blame them. All right, see if we get a screen capture now. Oh, we still cannot choose a window. Do we have the old? I've got this one. Display. It doesn't matter which one, but this is a whole screen. I prefer to do window instead of whole screen. All right, maybe I need this. Wouldn't that be ridiculous if it gave me the option and tried to enable and this didn't actually have what it needed to run in the first place? Pipe wire, please. Open selector. Nothing. I don't think we had any output, did we? Oh. All right. Denied or canceled by user. So is it possible that it's asking for something like policy kit? This guy gave up and he went back to X11. Install the flat pack. Install WL ROBs. Expose flat pack to pipe wire. I'd rather not. Thank you. Alright. Well, that doesn't help at all. Yep, so there's a daemon running. Alright, is there a KDE portal here? XDG, GNOME, Hyperland, KDE. Alright, but it's installed. This should not be helpful, but we'll install it anyway. XDG, desktop, portal, WLR. Can't imagine you need to reboot after this, but, well, we'll do it anyway. All right. Now, while we're waiting on that, let me show you guys something over here. Switch to this camera instead of that camera. So I was at that recycler the other day and saw this guy in the pile. And this is a mini PC. There's actually another piece to it. There's a bottom, which is around here somewhere. Anyways, I took it apart, and this is a dual core Atom system, and it has an unknown amount of memory in it, DDR3. And so I got a 250-ish gigabyte SSD with it. This is a Wi-Fi card. I didn't get a power supply, but I've got a power supply that should work with it. This is going to be a subject of a video coming up soon. And I think like if you put together all the stuff that I got while I was there, I gave them $35 and 10 of that was for the SSD that I got for this thing. So this mini PC I'm probably into for about $3. Let me switch back over to our HDMI feed. There we go. Back to OBS. Alright, yeah, we're still getting jack and squat on that one. Denied or canceled by user, which honestly that sounds like a policy kit deal or something, but I don't even think we've got policy kit installed. We'll go back over to our browser and we're just gonna pop this whole dude in here. Oh, and here's an issue on GitHub for Arch. Oh. Doesn't usually sit here and load GitHub issues for very long. Yeah, this thing could be turned into something for SDR, but I've actually got another mini PC that I use for my server in our rig, and I was thinking this might be something good to use just for NVR purposes for recording cameras and allow me to mess with different NVRs. It looks like there was a bug in KDE here, and they're suggesting that downgrading this package fix it, but that was 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago now. That doesn't sound positive. It looks like I should be able to. Oh, do we not have? I thought we had that. I'm pretty sure I saw that we had that. SXDG desktop portal KDE. Dang it. Yeah, reinstalling, not installing. Alright, well, there is no user libexec, so that's something. System D crap. Alright, I probably need to enable this service. XDG desktop portal KDE. Oh, that doesn't exist. Maybe just need portal. I thought that was there. XDG desktop portal. Yep. Alright, do another find. Alright. Enable Plasma XDG desktop portal KDE. Does not exist. Did I get it wrong? Let's have a look at this guy. Okay. Well, we have two different portal processes running. I don't know if this is the right way to do it or not, but we're going to try killing the other one. There. With two L's. We're going to run OBS and see if that changes anything. Seems to change nothing. Yeah. It looks like it just started this new one when I went to run it. I don't know. Any of you guys using OBS on Arch and doing Pipewire screen shares? Hey, thanks, Sander. So even with this bug that was closed in 2021 or 2022, there's still people having similar issues. We still get nothing. All right. ZKD screencast unstable V1 does not seem to be available. Let's punch that into the old Google. That's what we're looking for. Do I have QD bus? Maybe, maybe not. Nope. Definitely didn't get that right. Nope. Really? Oh. What the heck? QD bus 6. And we are looking for screencast. I do not see screencast. So it looks like there's a function that we don't have that we expect to have. So we've got wire plumber, we've got pipe wire, we've got XDG desktop portal KDE. That doesn't help. That probably doesn't help. This guy's having a different issue. This guy reinstalled Arch and it did the trick for him. So that doesn't help. Okay, these are so far everybody's having the same issue. This guy's like, update all the packages and it'll just start working. Well, that didn't work in my case. Like, we should be completely up to date because I don't remember how to update all packages. See if this takes us to debug. It doesn't. Maybe this does. But we're running, like we know we're running because we see the process. These guys are all in Manjaro, so that doesn't help. Anyways. All right, well, I think that's going to be one that I'm going to have to keep digging on. Yeah, not using OBS. That doesn't get me too far. We can do whole screen capture, but I really like to be able to do one window at a time. But Doesn't matter that much, I suppose, at the moment. It's still enough that I should be able to function. Alright, let's install a couple browsers. And I've got my own build of Chromium that I built for Debian that unfortunately I'm going to have to rebuild a package for Arch also. I don't think there's a particularly kind way of allowing you to install Debian packages on Arch, but I'm going to ask Google, or I'll ask DuckDuckGo. Like, I know they've got like the alien tool that in theory can. I don't know, maybe install that from AUR, use it to convert the deb file and install the resulting package with Pacman. What's it called? DebTap. Is it actually capital? Alright, well, it doesn't appear. Oh, so I gotta install that from the AUR. Well, that's going. Let's see if SSH server is running. It's not. If I just hit enter, does it pick a default? It does. Good deal. Now let me copy those package files over through SSH. Got that on my other laptop here. Oh, I gotta get the IP address of this guy. 180. If this works, that would be quite impressive. Oh. If I can avoid typos. So I built my own build of the Chromium browser that disables a JavaScript keyword that engages the JavaScript debugger. There's a lot of websites, if you have the developer tools panel open, it'll actually halt execution and basically prevents you from being able to use the developer tools on a particular website. And so I don't like that. So I customized Chromium and built my own. All right. First, I must run debtap -u. So that'll do these steps. Are you leaving? All right, 1 second, little interruption here. All right, sorry about that. Oh, this needs something called pack tree. That totally didn't work. All right. All right, so what's pack tree? Alright, so nothing is claiming to know anything about Packtree. Where do we get Packtree? Pac-Man Contrib. Alright, so we'll run this again. Yeah, technically I am a YouTuber at this point. Hooray. Alright, so that worked. Now how do we use deb tap? Alright, well none of those. Oh, here we go. Create a pseudo package. That's not what I want. I just want to create, output, deb tap, star deb. So out, star deb. Will this take multiples? We'll find out. Oh, blank, blank. Anyways, it's my super hacker version of Chromium that changed exactly one line. But it was worth changing. It'd be awfully nice if it'll work. Looks like it might take a few minutes though. I'm looking at my preview of the live stream on my other laptop, and it looks like it's about half an hour behind. Pretty sure you guys are fairly close to real time though. Alright, well while this thing's going, gotta hit enter some more. If you want to, press 1 or any other key to continue. I'll just press enter. Alright. Anyways, while we're waiting for this, let me show you this other camera that I got while I was at that junk store, the recycler. I looked this guy up. It's a Vadio, and this thing is a video conferencing camera. It's got 12x optical zoom, 1080p 60, and it uses magnetics instead of gears for positioning the camera. This thing should be a really fun project when I get to it. But I was searching for information I could find on it. I found their user manual and some other stuff, and it looks like that camera retailed for like $4,000, which is obscene. Yeah. Well, I can't type. All right, we have one package. I had all these packages. I guess it just got the first one, or what? Chromium 138. Because I did star deb. I don't know. We'll try and install it. Maybe made one package out of all of them. It's pretty big. All right, how do you use Pac-Man to install from a file? Minus U. No, I'd like for you to just install all of these. Alright, let's see if we can do that ourselves. libjpeg6 turbo. should be fine. libx composite. Yes. That's exactly the same version. libx damage. Alright, now it's scrolled off the screen. What do we got? NSPR, NSS, and zlib. Alright. Try again. No, I want you to just install because I installed all those things myself. All right, well, I'm not super surprised that it doesn't get all of the dependencies. Pacman, ignore dependencies. Wait. Oh, minus D. Wait. There we go. No. Why would that be a conflict? That is not something that we installed. Do, 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 do. All right, well, I don't see an easy way to ignore conflicts. They're suggesting that we do something else. All right, we'll try. We'll go ahead and we'll remove that conflict. Nope. We're not going to remove all those packages. We're just going to have to build our own fresh build of Chromium. I thought that was going to be a little more difficult. All right. Yeah, so the next step is going to be figuring out how to build my own package on Arch and do the Chromium build, which is a very long build on a laptop. It took, on the laptop that I use as my daily driver, it took something like 18 hours to build Chromium. But I was doing other things at the time. It's not like that's all it was doing was building Chromium. But that's unfortunate. I was really hoping that'd be that magic bullet that just gets us what we wanted. Oh. Get rid of all those. I'll have to do the same thing with Minicom because I'm expecting that my patch Minicom is going to have a similar issue. But with all that said, I have a running system. I've got a web browser. I've got development tools. I've got some hacking tools. I think we're going to wrap up this live stream and get on to some other things in real life here. And we'll come back at another time and actually use this thing. I'll see if I can get the screen capture stuff working, but I don't know. That doesn't seem very positive. Uh, what did I patch on Minicom? So on Minicom, when you are uh, when it gets certain ANSI codes, it'll actually start blinking the text. And so I customized Minicom to give it a new command line option that disables blinking completely. And so that helps me, but that could potentially also help other people. Maybe if you have a sensitivity to flashing lights, uh, you might want to use my fork. It's on my GitHub. I've got a couple packages that I've forked and done kind of minor patches to. I also did the XS or XS no SXIV image browser. I've got a fork of that up there also that changes a few things to make it a little more comfortable for me to use. I got a few things I do that's kind of like, I don't know, trivial stuff, but also packages that aren't necessarily accepting patches, which is unfortunate, or at least not easily accepting packages. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. If you came here from some source other than our Discord, make sure you jump over to our Discord if you want to hang out. That's the Hackers Homestead Discord. You can get the link to it in any of the videos on my channel. We are building the Thingino open source firmware for IP cameras over there, as well as several other projects, and generally just having a good time. And anyways, hope to see you in the next video or the next live stream. Probably later today or tomorrow, we'll be doing some more stuff. So hope to see you then. Till next time, stay fresh, cheese bags.